Hey, pleasant good evening, everybody, and welcome to Real Talk here on the Basement Show with Mr. Nast. My name is Ron Tessing, and with me tonight, as always, is
Dave Clayton, the one and
Mr.
only.
Dave Clayton. We'd like to welcome you to a new week here on the Basement Show. We see people starting to roll in already, which is a beautiful thing.
Very much so. I see that.
Yep. So Mama D, good evening. Gary, Alan, how you doing, guys? Great to see you in here. We are going to have our first official start to a show after a little technical problem last week that we have since taken care of. So we are ready to rock and roll here on the Basement Show.
Yes, it has been rectified.
So how you doing this week there, Dave?
I'm doing good. I'm ready to roll here with you. I'm very excited again because I'm here for the full on program, and this will be the norm, everybody. So yeah.
All right. So just to kind of give you an idea of what we were thinking of talking about tonight. Dave came up with a nice topic for the week, so we're going to roll with this, which is films that fundamentally shaped cinema and changed how productions in have been affected by certain films. It's the best way I can explain it.
No, that hits the nail on the head right there. That's the basics right there.
Okay. So these aren't really going to be in any kind of order. It's not a ranking system involved here. It's just basically we just sat down and jotted down some films that our personal opinion really kind of shaped the movie industry into what it is today. So I guess that's the best way I would sum it up. Wouldn't you say, Dave?
I agree.
Okay. So without further ado, I figure we'll jump right into it. I'm going to give you the first one. Actually, the first one that came to mind for me. And that's the 1975 movie Jaws.
Yes. That I already had that in my head too. So this is great. We're already on a good start.
Essentially, one of the reasons that I picked Jaws is that Jaws was really the first summer blockbuster type film. I mean, it was positioned at a certain time of the year in prime movie season over a holiday weekend, I believe, was it not?
I believe so, yes.
Oh, Memorial Day, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm.
I believe. Okay, but I know it was over a holiday in the summer. And it was really a film that just totally blew away anybody's expectations of how it was going to perform in the theaters. I mean, it was not a huge budget film. There was a couple decent actors in it. I mean, you had Robert Shaw and you had a young Richard Dreyfuss, and you had
of course Roy Scheider. Yeah.
Roy Scheider, yeah. So I mean, you had a couple guys in there that were had moderate success up to that point.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, the star of the movie, of course, Bruce the Shark.
yes. That we mentioned that the on the debut.
Yeah,
Bruce the Shark.
Sure.
Yep.
So I think that's a record. That's the first double mention would be Bruce the Shark. So he should probably be our mascot now.
and funny enough, a little side note: Finding Nemo, the shark's name is Bruce, in homage to Bruce the Shark from Jaws. So
there you go.
Yep,
that's a great little piece of information there. And really, Jaws at that time was one of the first films that was really like released to like hundreds of theaters at the same time simultaneously. Previously, they would open in a small amount of theaters and then they would expand in stages. Mm-hmm. But with Jaws, they just decided that they were going to hit all these theaters at one time. Because back then, it's a little different than it is today. I mean, back then, movie theaters were getting, freight delivered giant reels of movies, these big giant reels of film. Today, it's a zip drive. I
Yep,
mean,
yep.
all these digital theaters, there's no longer film being produced on these things. It's strictly everything's digitized into a essentially a zip drive.
Yeah, yeah. It's no, it's interesting that you bring that up too, with the whole like how nothing is shot on film anymore. I'm actually kind of not a fan of that. There was something genuine about film itself, the quality, like on screen. Like obviously, HD, the clarity is amazing and things like that. But I don't know, there was just something about the look of film itself that just it lent more towards an appearance of like a storybook in a sense. I don't know if this is coming across anybody, if they get what I'm trying to say here, but I genuinely like the look of that. And now it's just like every film looks the same, and it looks like anybody can get an HD camera. Anybody can get an HD camera and film something, and it looks the same. But like, you know what I'm saying? With
Yeah,
back in the day, like I don't remember exactly when the earliest handheld camera was, but I know in the 90s there was obviously handheld cameras, and people, I had them as well when I was, an aspiring actor and things like that. But you could differentiate what was like a home video, a home movie, and then like film. But now it's just like it all looks the same to me. So like it lost sort of its uniqueness in the cinema screen. You know what I mean? It lost that for me. But
yeah.
I
I mean,
mean,
I understand that part of it. Yeah, for sure. Well, the other thing that occurred during that time, once they got away from shooting on film, is it was kind of the death of the discount theaters. All those dollar theaters, like the one down in College Town in
mhm.
Glassboro had a dollar theater. There were a couple others around, and basically what happened with them is that they would get uh, copies of the film that had slight flaws or damage in them. If a particular copy of a film had a splice in it or it had some imperfection, then it would go to that secondary market, and then it would be taken to those theaters that would charge a reduced price
Mhm.
to view those particular movies, because they were, you might have a couple seconds of the movie that might drop out at some point, or you
Yeah.
might clearly see like a small gap due to a splice or something of that effect. But yeah, that was kind of the death of that, because now anything that comes out in the digital form is, there's no way for it to be flawed, pretty much.
Yeah, yeah, unless like there's some sort of freak accident on the actual like hard drive. I've heard some horror stories where people have filmed something, like it could be a whole production or just a couple scenes, and then something happens with the computer and it's all gone.
Yeah, that would not be good.
Nope.
All right,
Yeah,
so
it's the
that was
pros
the
and
first
cons.
one. That was the first one that came to my mind.
Okay, no. I definitely agree. I was going to bring up, but you already have the whole blockbuster phenomena. It started, I personally believe, with that film. However, with that said, I would like to make a mention to a film that I can't say it necessarily changed cinema as a whole, but it definitely changed the horror genre, and that was a year before The Exorcist.
Hey, Amber, how you doing? Thanks for stopping in. All right, we got you. We appreciate you popping in for sure.
Absolutely.
Go ahead, Dave. I'm sorry.
No, I was just saying, again, to reiterate, here, I was just saying that, the year prior, there was a film that came out that wasn't, it didn't necessarily change the whole scope of cinema, but it did change a particular genre, the horror genre, and that was The Exorcist.
Okay.
It came out, a year before Jaws did, and that,
Mhm.
I love watching the documentaries on that, because you get to see like the people going into the theater and then just getting visibly sick and then coming out, and just like it was something else. Like I can't recall anything quite like that happening in recent memory, like with newer movies these days. But like people, horror was, I don't want to say it was hokey, but it wasn't intense to the point, like to that level, and Exorcist really like pushed the boundaries with that genre. And ever since The Exorcist, horror films have again pushed the boundaries, and they've gone further in what they show, what they do. Because before then, the only horror films that push the boundaries, and this is a notable mention for film historians, but that would be Hammer Productions with such stars as Christopher Lee, Peter Cushing, and whatnot. And they would take the old Hollywood monster movies like Dracula, Frankenstein, The Mummy, and they were the first ones to not only be in color, which is actually going to lead me into another topic later, another movie, but push the boundaries with the violence, the blood, even sex was played a dominant part in the stories, which was taboo. But nowadays, you see it everywhere. But Hammer Productions started that. But yeah, The Exorcist really took all of that and just 100% just amplified it. So
yeah. Now I seem to remember when I went to see. Oh, Amber. Hey, I didn't hear a lot of great things about the Marvels, but I'm a Minions guy, so I got to tell you, I probably would have went for Minions too. But Gingy in the house. What's happening, Gingy? One of the co-hosts of our Saturday night show with Drago and Tink's Neverland, our gaming show, popping in and saying hi. Okay, so what I was going to say is that back in when The Exorcist was in the theaters, if I'm not mistaken, I seem to remember them handing out vomit bags.
Mm-hmm. You are correct.
And they actually gave everybody a vomit bag when they came into the theater because they were concerned that people were going to be throwing up all over the theater.
Oh yeah, no, that film definitely shook some heads for sure, especially in the religious community. It was like a whole thing, and it's fascinating. Like when you look back on it and whatnot. That's the one thing I always wanted to read the book by who was the author? William Peter Blatty? Was that I'm pretty sure that was the author's name. I wanted. Of The Exorcist.
Oh, what was his name? Oh, God.
I'm pretty sure it's William Peter Blatty. I'm pretty sure.
I thought it was Peterson, but I could be wrong.
Because I know William Friedkin, he directed it. He directed the movie, but yeah. If you could let me know, I'm pretty sure I'm
on it.
Okay.
William Peter Blatty. You are correct,
yes.
sir.
Yes.
Good job.
It's good to see I have my A game tonight.
Yeah, exactly. Mama D knew that one too. Yeah, I came in third on that one. Sorry about that, guys.
No. I'm sure at some point you'll make up for it. What's up?
Hey, Shannon. All right. So, what's the first one on your list?
Oh, you're talking about me?
Yeah.
Okay, so I would have to say this is going to sound very, I don't know if the word is stereotypical or common or commonplace. That's probably the best way to put it. But you have to go back to The Wizard of Oz. You have to.
Yep, that's on my list too.
Okay,
hey,
all right.
Hey, Mike's in the house.
Yes, yeah, he told me he was going to join in. I was just like, okay, that's cool. That's cool.
Hey, Morgan in the house.
Everyone's coming in now.
Nice.
We got an audience growing, Ron.
Yeah. You hate The Wizard of Oz? Oh my God.
Oh, wow.
You don't see that. You don't hear that too often. So, so go ahead. I'll jump in with anything I have on this also. Look at that. There's Gina. Gina's in the house.
Dang.
All right, we got everybody jumping in tonight.
This is wonderful.
This is like a Friday night movie night reunion.
I still remember watching those, and I got so excited. I loved participating in those, and now I get to be a part of this and host it with you, so it's great.
Yep.
But yeah, with The Wizard of Oz, the one thing I want to clarify here, because a lot of people don't know this, or they get confused if I want to be more accurate, but it wasn't the first colored movie.
No.
It was the first one to really utilize color in the production itself, and to help tell the story with the visuals, of course. But the very first colored film, I believe it was called The World, the Flesh, and the Devil. And then, of course, we can't forget Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, the Disney animated movie. That was color as well. But the one that really utilized color for Hollywood productions, and then from there on out, was definitely The Wizard of Oz, especially with the cast of characters like obviously the Wicked Witch of the West, with the green and everything like that, and whatnot. And of course, the visuals of the Yellow Brick Road, whereas beforehand, if it's a black and white film, you can only say it, oh, it's green or it's blue or it's whatever color, and the audience has to just, believe that, okay, it is that. But you actually got to see it for the first time, and it helped immensely put you into the experience of the movie for really the first time for something as a grand scale as Wizard of Oz.
Yeah. Well, technically, it was the first film that used a technology called Technicolor.
Yeah.
Although there was other color films, this was the next level color film. So, and the transition from the black and white to the color was
masterfully
really just
done.
blew people away. It really did. It really was such an important component to the transition to Oz.
Mm-hmm.
And it just it created a clean break, between the two worlds, if you will.
Yes. And I know how they did that too, because I actually used the trick in one of my short films way back in the day. I'm trying to remember what it was called. But anyways, so what they did is, for the shot where she's walking out of the house into obviously Oz, the house itself was coated in, because it wasn't actually black and white. Wasn't it like sepia tone?
Yeah, kind of, sort of, yeah.
Yeah. So what they did is they structured the inside, that we're facing in that color. They painted it in that color, and then as well as the door. And then when it's open and the light comes in, and then the camera adjusts, and then you see the actual set of Oz and everything like that. Then obviously they're filming in color at that point. It's a little like mental visual trick that they use there. And I did the same thing with this short film, because it was shot in black and white, and then we just so happened the door that we had was like a white gray, so it blended in with the black and white throughout the film. And then we just opened the door, the light came in, and then obviously we switched back to the norm, which was the color. And I was just like, yeah, that actually is pretty cool. So yeah, but they were the first to do that, and I thought it was pretty neat.
Yeah. Good evening, welcome in. So, Morgan, did you see the, if you happen to watch the Super Bowl, did you see the trailer for Wicked that's coming up? They did show one of the trailers. Now, actually, what they don't disclose is that it's actually a two-part. So it's, hey, Curtis, Wicked is going to be a two-part. So, but they're not advertising it as part one and part two. They're just luring you into the first part. And then really most of what you would consider the familiar action of the witches and stuff a lot of that takes place in the second part. So, but they're not advertising it that way. So it's kind of a little deceptive. But I mean, there's some great stars. Ariana Grande is Glinda. And also, I forget, somebody was the wizard. Somebody pretty famous is the wizard.
Jeff Goldblum.
Jeff Goldblum, exactly. So it'll be interesting to see how that translates to film.
Very, very much so, because I'm actually a huge fan of Wicked. Honestly, I saw it on Broadway in New York. It was amazing.
Yeah, I think Usher was sick. I really do. Now, and I say that for real, because he was sweating profusely. He was, he wasn't really moving the way he normally moves. And I was watching the pregame, like before the game started. And when he entered into the stadium, he had a blanket wrapped around him. So I'm thinking that he was sick. And because his vocals were definitely off. And at first I thought it was technical, but it could have been that he was sick. No, I don't think it was baby oil.
Mike.
or if it's maybe it's Gabe Kaplan and his coconut oil.
I know I was sick after.
Yeah,
it's great to have you on here, Mike. Seriously. Shoot.
Yeah. So definitely Wizard. Now the one fun fact about Wizard of Oz that I always bring up to people, and what a lot of people don't know, but I know you do, is that Jack Haley was not the original Tin Man.
Yes.
Actually, they filmed If I Only Had a Heart previous to Jack Haley joining the cast, because it was actually Buddy Ebsen, a.k.a. Jed Clampett, who was the Tin Man. And he had a severe allergic reaction to the paint, the face paint, which contained aluminum. And he was actually hospitalized for a couple of days and ended up bowing out of the film. And then they got Jack Haley to replace him. But if you go back and do a little bit of research, you can find that exactly what happened and how that transition took place.
Mm-hmm. No. A side note here, because I know you obviously are, and I know others are as well, into music. But I have to get your take on the whole Pink Floyd controversy there, like that whole if it's legit or it's just a happy coincidence, or
I don't know. I've actually seen it, somebody try it, and it seems like it matches up. I mean, it's hard. It's hard to assume that it's a coincidence, the way that it matches up almost exactly. But
yeah,
hey, who knows? Some people are really twisted. You look at all the records back in the day that had, messages when you played them backwards.
Yeah.
So, I mean, anything's possible. I am the walrus. Literally. So, yeah, who knows on that? That's a good discussion.
Yeah, I was curious on your thoughts on that. So, because I know you're into all of that.
I think it's possible. I mean, I've seen, I haven't seen it all the way through like that, but the clips that I've seen just seem like it matches up pretty damn well.
Yeah, very much so.
Yeah. So the next one on my list is from, I believe it would be 1977. That would be Star Wars.
Yes, of course.
Okay. Which really shifted the focus from deep, meaningful dramas with, conflict and themes and all this other, story based, and really kind of turned the focus onto these grandiose special effects from George Lucas and ILM and the Lucas Studios. I mean, just unbelievable.
Yeah, Industrial Light and Magic. They really they were just a whole bunch of young, up and coming, creative people, and they put together something that big, giant production crews never even attempted. They really pushed the boundaries there. It was amazing. Even like you look back on it, if you watch the original version and not the special editions, and compare them to the previous sci-fi movies of the time, we brought this up the debut episode, and they were phenomenal.
Yeah. I heard that about the Judy Garland thing. I know that there was a theory that there were drugs involved, but I don't think anybody really ever substantiated that. But it was a very widely talked about theory. And no, a munchkin didn't hang themselves from a tree, which was another urban legend there, in the background or something. And they did want Shirley Temple originally for the role. Yes, that is correct. That's you got some good info there, Morgan. That's for a movie you hate. You know a lot about it.
Yeah.
Oh, that's good stuff. Yeah. Storks on set. Well, yeah, that's who dropped off the Munchkins. They had storks.
Yeah, no, that it is a shame about Judy Garland because I'm actually aware of her, biography, her history, and things like that, and
Yeah.
untimely passing and everything, and due to various experiences, she did get hooked on, drugs. I believe like sleeping pills specifically, and I know a couple
Yeah.
other things, and that was ultimately what sad.
And
to
that
say the
and that
least.
was when you're talking about that time, you're talking about, really there wasn't a lot of people that were, in that world at that time. It got much more prevalent further on.
Mm-hmm.
You're talking about in the 40s, 1939, 1940,
Yeah.
when there weren't like a lot of other than prescriptions. There wasn't a lot of illicit stuff that was going around as much as in like the 60s and the 70s.
Yeah, and even now.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, Star Wars just, nobody ever thought that it was going to turn into what it turned into. I mean, even the actors,
Oh
when
yes.
George Lucas wanted Harrison Ford, he had worked with Harrison Ford in American Graffiti,
yes.
and he wanted Harrison Ford for the role of Han Solo. And when he gave him the script, he looked at it and he kind of considered it just kind of a throwaway, but he wanted to do it as a favor to George because George had given him a break in casting him in American Graffiti. So
Yes, and he helped with the line reads and everything like that for the auditions for the other actors and actresses as well.
right.
Which is, it was pretty cool their relationship like early on because George Lucas, before American Graffiti, he was just a young college filmmaker who did THX 1138, which was actually for a student film very well done.
Yep.
So
when I watched that after the fact, I was amazed that was a student film.
Yeah, very well done. And now I'm not sure if you know this. I don't know if I'm trying to clarify this here, but wasn't there? Yeah, Mike. Yes, his T. I know some things don't change.
Yeah.
Didn't he do George Lucas? Didn't he? I know he did THX 1138, the student film, but didn't he also do a bigger production version of it? Like there's technically two.
Yeah, he definitely after I don't know if it was after Star Wars. I don't think it was. I think it was before.
I think
But
so
I think
too. Yeah.
they had the opportunity to go back and kind of remake it with a little bit of a budget to it. So I think it probably would have been after Graffiti and
Yeah.
before Star Wars, or sometime during the period that Star Wars was in post production, because it was in post production for several years. Back in the day, the effects were very painstaking. A lot of it was modeling and stop motion stuff like that.
Sculptures, the whole 9 yards. Yeah.
Yeah. So it was a very painstaking process.
And of course, with the sabers themselves, I believe I think the process is called rotoscoping. I'm pretty sure, and anybody correct me on that if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure that's what it's called. But even that too, and then even the sound design as well was a whole different, whole different thing. So
they just broke a lot of new territory at that time. I mean, nobody had done anything on that kind of scale. What do you
Okay,
guys
this
think
is
about the movie The Crow?
well. Who wants to go first? You, Ron, or I?
Go ahead.
Okay, well, I personally love The Crow with Brandon Lee. Rest in peace. I thought it was amazing, and especially if you know the backstory with the person who put together the comic itself. He had a tragic experience losing his girlfriend. They were madly in love, and I believe it was a car accident or something. And he poured all his depression and into the Crow, into the comic book, and it just it was awesome. And the movie itself, I think, is a very cult classic. Definitely, one of those that I genuinely feel, if Brandon Lee did not pass, if the accident didn't happen with the prop gun, I believe that movie was going to skyrocket him into other productions, because I saw his stuff before, and it was primarily like action stuff. He was great in all of them and everything like that, but with The Crow, he was actually branching out as an actor that could portray emotions and be deep and real. And it's just a shame, but I love it. I think, as my final note before I hand it back to Ron, I think that they are pissing on his grave by remaking it. He died. Don't remake it. But no, everybody, they can't seem to come up with any new ideas these days. So they just copy and paste, and they're remaking it. I'm just like, really? So basically he died for nothing.
Anything they can milk a buck out of anymore, they're reimagining, so to speak, is what their official terminology is. So, I mean, I enjoyed the film. I thought that, it was pretty, there were components of it that were pretty faithful to the comics. And I think that overall it's just a shame he passed away, but it would have been interesting to see the kind of roles that he might've done going forward.
Absolutely. Like I said, I believe that was his golden ticket. Ha ha ha. I had to.
Yeah, I had to go there, right?
Yeah. Yep. And it's just, it's a shame. It's kind of like the same situation with, although, well, no, not necessarily. Now I'm thinking about it. Heath Ledger actually had a pretty diverse background as far as an actor, but with his performance in The Dark Knight, had he lived past that, definitely would have gotten even bigger roles and productions and things like that. So it mirrors the two,
Right. Yeah. And a lot of people draw that comparison as well. Yeah.
Yeah.
That was another tragic loss there that you really wanted to see. I mean, we could do an entire show on people that passed and which direction they might have potentially went, had they survived.
Mm-hmm.
When you talk about different guys who left us too soon.
Yeah.
So, and ladies. So, okay, what you got next?
Okay, so one that is, since we're talking about like technological advances at this point, I would like to bring up. Let me read this comment real quick. A friend of mine. Oh yeah, I heard nothing but great stories about him too. Absolutely, Heath Ledger was, according to all accounts I've read, a gem of a person. So,
and he was very immersed in the role, though. I mean, I did read that he was very deeply immersed into the Joker during that production.
Yeah, that method acting. Jim Carrey did the same thing
for Man on the Moon.
Yep. You know that movie.
They had to call him Andy on the set. They weren't allowed to call. If they asked if they referred to him as Jim, he didn't respond.
Yeah,
that's true story. That actually
it is. I can vouch for you. There was because I can say that because I saw the documentary that they recently. I mean, it was like a year or two ago, maybe at this point, but they released a documentary about the making of that film, and Jim Carrey was talking about it.
I didn't see that. I'd like to see it.
What? You did not?
I didn't see the documentary. No.
Oh, it is so good and so in depth. You will learn so much, Ron. I know it's right up your alley. Got to check it out.
Okay, I'm definitely going to put it on my list.
But back to the technological advances. We're going to go to a little forward here and go to 1999, The Matrix.
Okay. Yep.
Okay, that when it comes to bullet time and the slow mo and things like that, the way they really and the martial arts and the wire work, that which was something that was only really used overseas, like the Oriental like movies, like the martial arts, things like that. The wire work, and a lot of people like standard viewers, audience. They were like, oh, that people can't do that. They can't fly. They can't spin like this. It's not about the realism of it. Wire work in martial arts films and stuff like that, it's a style. It's an art form. That's the whole. And a lot of people don't seem to get that. And they took that, and who it was the I'm trying to remember the actual guy who trained them, but he was like the real deal martial arts, had history, everything like that, and all the actors trained, and what you saw on there was the real thing, the real martial arts. And for them to work with that sort of choreography and the wire work for an American picture was different, and it was a start of something, because 2 years later, I'm pretty sure it was 2 years later, 2001. Correct me if I'm wrong. It's either 2001 or 2004, but Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon was a huge success here in America, and even like what was it?
Nominated for Best Picture.
Yeah, definitely. Even Ebert was a huge fan of that when it came out, and he understood that it's a style. It isn't like them trying to be like hokey about it, or like it's really cool. But Matrix was what brought it over into America. Now it's like commonplace. Now it's neat. And then of course, obviously the CGI too. We were really starting to push the boundaries. That same year, of course, the Phantom Menace came out. George Lucas again with ILM and Lucasfilm, and yeah, you know what? Yeah, I'm gonna just I'm gonna let you, of course, like get your next pick in, but Phantom Menace is an honorable mention as well, because that film led into Attack of the Clones, and Attack of the Clones was the first film, or first production to be accurate, that was filmed with HD cameras. It wasn't actually like tape or anything like that. Attack of the Clones was the first one. That was the pioneer, and then that's what led into HD and what we have now. So just
yeah. Now, one other fun fact about The Matrix is that Keanu Reeves was not the original choice for Neo.
Yes.
The part was supposed to go to Will Smith, but Will Smith turned down the role in order to do Wild Wild West.
Yep.
So,
and he regretted it.
Will Smith has said on numerous occasions that of all the roles that he missed out on, that's one that he was intrigued by.
Yep. Well, I still remember going back in, like memory lane here, Wild Wild West. I remember I was just a wee lad, and I was in the car of my parents. I believe we had the van at that time, and we went to the BK and we got the toys. And I'm like, oh, this is so cool. I never saw the movie until like a couple years ago. I'm like, oh, whoa, which is a shame, because I like Will Smith. I like Kevin Kline. Kevin Kline. I mean, who doesn't?
Now, Kenneth Branagh in that. I mean, come on. That was a brilliant performance by a trained Shakespearean actor to play Dr. Lovelace and nail it. I love that character. It was a horrible movie, but I love that character, man.
No, it's funny because I have conflicting opinions on it. Like, I think I like it, like I enjoy it, but does it make it a good movie? No.
No, it was not a good movie. I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, Morgan, I would not get offended by that at all. But Kenneth Branagh blew me away.
Mm-hmm.
And I too am a big Kevin Kline fan as well. So
he's so good. He's so good. I love A Fish Called Wanda.
It's Ken coming to kill me.
It's so good. I laugh every time.
Don't call me
the writing. Oh man, that guy!
Hilarious.
I love his stuff.
Hilarious.
But But
Good night, Morgan. Thanks for popping in. We appreciate you.
Absolutely. Thank you very much.
Good to see you. Don't be a stranger.
You know how you say everything comes full circle?
Yeah.
Okay, so Kevin Kline, and then we brought, I brought up Attack of the Clones, Phantom Menace, that sort of thing. So Kevin Kline, I recommend this to everybody. It's called Life is a House. And it stars Kevin Kline and Hayden Christensen, who played Anakin Skywalker in episodes 2 and 3, and of course the new Disney productions. It's a really heartfelt drama. I highly recommend it. And Kevin Kline, who is known for doing comedies and things like that, will tear at your heartstrings in that movie. It is so good. And Hayden's performance in that is phenomenal. Just wanted to put that out there.
Okay. You know, we could like Kevin Bacon each other to death. You know that, right? every time it's like, oh yeah, well, how about this? And that's connected to this. That's connected to this. You know, like, man, Kevin Bacon.
Yeah, what is? I know what you're talking about. It's something degrees of Kevin Bacon. What is it
6
called?
Degrees of Kevin Bacon.
Okay. I know exactly what you're talking about because I remember looking up IMDb years ago as a kid and seeing that, and I'm just like, what does that mean? And now I understand. But yeah, you're absolutely right. We could just back and forth. Oh man, this is why.
Nobody could beat me at that game. I was always. Of course, that was before I was hanging out with you.
Yeah, I give you a run for your money sometimes.
Yes, absolutely.
If I may toot my own horn.
Yeah. Yep. All right. Well, next one, I'm going to skip the one that I had next because it kind of runs through the same theme we just talked about. So I want to talk about a movie that totally changed the landscape of kids movies, and that would be Toy Story.
Oh, I was gonna bring that up, you son of a bitch.
Computer generated animation just was blown to smithereens. With Pixar Studios coming onto the scene and developing what could possibly be one of the greatest collections of perfect character choices, along with superb animation, a great script. I mean, just everything about it was just had never ever seen anything like it.
No, it was a whole different product. I have to agree with you 100%. And then you said the casting. I mean, Tom Hanks and then Tim Allen, those two together were just electric. Yeah, absolutely. And then of course with the animation too, you know, like the fact that you could actually like tell like their various the emotional capacity of the models themselves. You could tell they're feeling like, you know, sad or happy, angry, whatever. It was you know, whereas if you like compare it to other uses of CGI and not necessarily its own film, but like for instance, I brought up UHF on the debut. There's the one song, it's a music video of the Beverly Hillbillies. It's like CGI animated. It's very wooden, very limited. They can only like move their mouth, and there's not really anything there. And there was Tron though. Tron was a neat little addition to that though. But it wasn't until Toy Story that they really were able to go full throttle with it, and it was incredible. Nobody ever seen anything like it.
Yeah. I mean, you actually forgot that it was all computer generated. I mean, you know, the way that the characters moved and interacted. I mean, it was just, you know, it blew me away. I mean, I seriously, I can watch those movies over and over again. And, you know, not just when my kids were around, because I mean, there was humor for adults. There was humor for kids, you know, the one that killed me, and I believe it was in the first one, or it might have been the second one. It was 1 or 2.
I've seen them recently, so I could probably tell you.
It was Don Rickles as Mr. Potato Head, and he changed the things on his face, and he said, "Look, I'm Picasso." And he had an eye up here and a mouth down here, and
yeah.
Just like, I was like, no kid's gonna get that. It's like,
there was an awesome person, Don Rickles, man.
yeah, yep.
Who I don't know if you know this on top of your head, but who replaced him voice wise for Mr. Potato Head when he passed?
I don't know.
I think it was like a good friend of his or something. I know the same happened with Jim Varney. I love Jim Varney, by the way. You know, Ernest and everything. Yeah. I love the commercials and the movies themselves, guilty pleasures of mine. But when Jim Varney passed, a close friend of his obviously knew how to recreate his voice because he hung out with the guy for years on end, and they hired him to take over for Jim Varney as Slinky. But I feel like the same thing happened with Don Rickles. No, I remember now. No. They took audio from the previous movies, like the words, various words that he would say, and using computer technology, it's amazing what they can do these days. They actually spliced the dialogue together. That's what happened. I just remembered that now.
That is correct. They did use Don Rickles' voice going forward, even after he passed. So actually, because of the family, Don Rickles' daughter gave them permission to continue, and that she requested that he continue to be the voice.
Yeah.
So that was why they were able to continue using him. So,
A Bug's Life was also a great kids movie.
Bug's Life, yeah,
wholeheartedly
Bug's Life
agree.
was good. Yeah,
and it actually leads me into this is a great thing about this show is I get to be able to express my feelings about certain things when it comes to the course of cinema. And yeah, Bug's Life was great, but it brings up something that I wanted to mention when you, Ron, brought up Toy Story. So no one had ever seen animation quite like that, especially in a feature-length film. And over the years, they became more prominent, and the old school 2D animation, like 2D animated movies, started to dwindle out. And now, aside from like, and even this was a couple years ago, Princess and the Frog, they had some, that was like 2D animation, but now it's all, CGI. And I feel like we lost something because there's a lot of work that goes into the drawings and the artistry of the old school techniques. And now it's all done on a computer and it all looks basically the same. Like there was a commercial for some sort of medicine on TV and it was animated. It looks like Pixar. Like it all looks the same to me now. And just kind of like, damn, if it wasn't for stories, like the stories of various Disney movies or other productions even being good, then it would all just be the same schlock because it all looks the same. That's...
I mean, to think of the fact that there were animators who actually sat there and painted cells of these early animations, like your Snow Whites, back in the 30s,
or something as beautiful as Fantasia.
Yeah, any of that. I mean, there was an entire wing of the studio that was devoted to animators just painting and drawing and painting and drawing and cell by cell. And I mean, I've seen individual cells, and the amount of detail that goes into those are just astounding.
Yes, I miss that.
So I agree with you there. So, all right. What you got next?
Okay, so I'm curious about what you feel on this one here. And at first, I used to think it was overhyped. I was young and naive. I really didn't understand the numbers and how much of an impact it really had. And then, of course, I did my research later after seeing the movie, and I've actually now added it to my watch at least once a year list. But it's gonna have to go to Titanic.
Okay. Yep.
I think Titanic, like everyone's like, oh my God, it's a love story, blah, 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 blah. Well, first of all, I'm a historian. And when I actually researched like the actual incident in question, it's heartbreaking. And there's so many ways that could have been avoided. So many ways. Those people did not have to die. That was, talk about mismanagement of an operation. That was a tragedy that should never have ever occurred. And the movie itself, the two main characters, Kate Winslet and Leonardo DiCaprio, are fictional characters, but the way that they were used to put us into the real time with the real historical figures was very effective. There were films before Titanic that would have a fictional character in a historical setting, but they weren't utilized the same way that those two were in Titanic. And then, of course, the effects themselves with the enormous, or the enormity of the ship itself, and the long distance shots and the people on the Titanic itself from afar, and them actually not being real but animated, and they're moving and stuff, which later we were to be developed in other productions, and now it's utilized everywhere. But Titanic really, when it came to extras, CGI extras, that one really started that. And the budget for that film, and then of course the links that the actors and actresses had to go through. James Cameron is insane. I watched The Abyss recently, and the movie is amazing. It's a beautiful sci-fi movie. Deals with like extraterrestrial aliens and like water and things like that. But by all accounts, the production itself was so stressful and so tense, and James Cameron was an asshole because he wanted to get the best out of his actors and actresses. But it got to the point where only two actors ever returned to work with him again, and that was Michael Biehn and what is his name? It's on top of my head. Great. Have you seen The Abyss?
I did a long time ago. I don't remember much about it.
Okay.
That was kind of a one and done for me.
Wow.
I
Okay.
always was disappointed that they didn't make it Titanic 2, because I would have liked to have seen what happened if it didn't sink.
Well, technically, there is a Titanic 2 from Asylum Films. Asylum Films, if nobody knows this, is a company that dishes out B movies, really bad B movies. Like the CGI is horrendous. The actors are very wooden, very and they have a market for it. People love watching them. I do too, because they're hilarious. It's just like, oh my God. It's kind of like almost like a Sharknado type of thing, but less of a budget. And they did do a Titanic too. And Jesus.
Yeah. Yeah. Mike's got a comment up here about it reminds him of the work they did on Nightmare Before Christmas.
Yeah.
When we were talking about the animation there. And that was done in the style of stop animation, even though it was not.
Mm-hmm.
It was still a lot of computer generated, but it was meant to appear to be more of a stop action kind of animated situation there.
Yeah. And so something that's kind of mirrors that would be films such as like, it was a TV series first, or a series of episodes, but Wallace and Gromit, Chicken Run, that type of animation. There is the new Chicken Run coming out, which I'm going to go see, because again, I miss that old school type of animation with the clay and everything like that. Because you got it's so much, in my opinion. I'm no expert, so I could be wrong on this, but I feel like it would be harder to make and more time consuming to do a 2D animated movie or a claymation film, feature length film. It's
all individual, frames. It's frame by frame,
Mm-hmm.
Whereas the computer, they just go tell the computer what you want it to do, and it does it. Now, the only thing in CGI that they had a lot of difficulty with, and Pixar documented this, the hardest thing that they had to do was to get the computer to emulate water.
Mm-hmm.
So when Shrek jumps in the mud puddle and he's splashing around, or if there's a water in a situation. That was the thing that they had the most difficulty with, kind of mimicking the actions that water makes in any given
and the
time.
ripples and all of
Yes.
that.
Yeah. So that was interesting to me.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so what have I got next here? Okay, now I'm going to bring this one up.
Okay.
It is not a movie that was highly commercially profitable. It was done on a very, very, very low budget. And there are two schools of people. There's people that love it, and there's people that hate it with a passion.
Oh, I'm interested.
But I feel that it's an important one when you're talking about the different, impacts. Okay. And it was basically, the movie was called The Blair Witch Project.
Oh, wow. Ron, I did not think you were going to bring that up. So I actually had that on my list. Wow. Okay. I want to hear this.
So it was shot in the form of, it was really one of the earlier films that really kind of fleshed out the whole paranormal activity kind of, stories. And it was definitely something that was, at the time, the phrase was coined mockumentary, which was, it was shot in the style of a documentary, like it was something that was actually filmed as it was happening from the vantage point of the filmmaker, which really was kind of unique for the time. And some of the camera work, just the overall feel was, it almost seemed like it was, somebody just running around with a camera. And at the time, nobody had really done that.
No. I just want to briefly add to that, because I know this for a fact, because I've used that technique and being in film myself. That's called guerrilla style, not gorilla as in like an ape, but like military lingo, guerrilla style, handheld. Yeah, and I just wanted to put that in there.
Yeah, and I mean the budget for that film was unbelievable. Unbelievably low. Just give me 1 second. I meant to write this down and I did not, but they shot it for $60,000, and it made a ton of money.
Yeah, it also helps because of the marketing that they went through before the film was even released. They played it like it was a real thing, like it was actual lost footage that was found. They had freaking milk cartons and like posted signs of like missing people, which were the main characters in the film itself. They were slick with that. They knew what they were doing.
It made $248.6 million in the U.S. alone. On a budget of $60,000.
Talk about a feat.
Yeah, it was definitely a phenomena, but it was very short lived because the follow up was not very good.
No,
they're not a fan of the second one at all.
No, and I believe recently they came out with a third one, of course, direct to video, or nowadays direct to streaming. It's nothing compared to the first one. And the funny thing is, the first film, Blair Witch, I'm not actually like a huge fan of. Like, it's not something I put on and watch, but I can recognize what it did, what it ventured forth, and really, oh, what's this? I know the Blair Witch. She was definitely.
I think you spelled that wrong, John. I thought that had a B in it. No, but I guess this is just another example, Dave, how from a movie standpoint, we may have a connected brain, because it's funny that we're coming up with some of the same titles.
Yeah.
When we didn't compare notes at all on this.
No. We just went ahead with the topic and just started, streaming. So.
Yep. So it's pretty funny. What you got next?
Oh, me? Shoot. Okay, so a lot of them, were ones that you mentioned before. I'm not just talking about this episode here. I'm talking about the debut. But before I get to one in particular, I do want to just bring up Jurassic Park, because with the effects at that time, that was groundbreaking. So real. And then, of course, we were just talking about like the old school animation. Phil Tippett was going to do the stop motion animation for the dinosaurs. And then Dennis Muren was the one, I believe he was working with Industrial Light and Magic, and they did a demo of a T-Rex chasing a bunch of Gallimimus through the field, almost like in the movie, in the final product. And obviously Steven Spielberg, excuse me, ladies and gentlemen, was like, oh yeah, we got to go with this. This is amazing. But I feel really bad because Phil Tippett's been working so hard on these animations with like the Raptors and things like that. And he ended up hiring Phil Tippett to bring him along with Dennis Muren. And Dennis Muren, although he had the expertise with the computer, Phil Tippett, because of the intricacies of the movements and things like that, he was able to collaborate with Dennis Muren and use his knowledge to help out with the CGI. So like it was a nice little bridge of two different technologies coming together. And a little trivia fact, Phil Tippett, when he was told that he was not going to be doing the stop motion animation anymore, he said, well, I guess I'm out of a job. And I forget, it was one of his friends or somebody who said, yeah, I guess we're extinct. And Steven Spielberg ended up putting that line with Jeff Goldblum in the movie where, Sam Neill and the crew are going up the stairs, and Dr. Grant says the famous line, and then Jeff Goldblum responds,
So just throwing down the last little bit on animation while we're kind of on that topic. I mean, but Jurassic Park, just to take a second on that. I mean, those effects and it was hard to not believe that world was real. That's how realistic those effects were to me. I mean, even down to the point where the T-Rex is looking in the window and breathes, and the window steams up.
Yes, or when he peers into the window and his
pupils dilate.
Yeah. Oh, it was so good. The animatronics and things like that were incredible. And another funny little tidbit, because they never really did anything that extreme with the giant animatronics, but the T-Rex in question, when they had that scene with the with the fence breaking down and the T-Rex breakout scene, the big giant animatronic dinosaur, the T-Rex, because of the fake rain that was being poured on it, started to malfunction. It started to shake uncontrollably, and they had to take precautions to make sure that this thing wasn't just going to like rear its head into the car and like injure the cast. And it was like a very scary shoot for them because they'd never seen anything like that before. And every time they stopped filming a specific shot, a whole bunch of crew members would come in with towels and they'd just be like whacking the water off, just trying to dry it off. It was a hectic shoot, but the end result looks fantastic.
I mean, I got to see that on the resume of some of those guys, worked on Jurassic Park, toweled off dinosaur. What do you mean you toweled off a dinosaur? Get out of here. What in the hell are you talking about?
we got no department for that. Get out of my office. Yeah, but the nice blend.
Did you paint his toenails too?
Yep. Just the whole like collaboration of, again, the stop motion, the CGI, and of course the animatronics. It was such a perfect blend. And even now, even by today's standards, the CGI itself looks better than a lot of the newer films that come out, because there was a lot more effort and love into the craft then, I believe. Nowadays, they're just dishing out shit for money. So they're just trying to get their product out quicker, you know?
True. But here's another film that had a merge of a couple different combination of a couple different styles into one. And that's Who Framed Roger Rabbit.
Oh, yes. Oh, such a classic.
I mean, you want to talk about classic animation along with live action, along with CGI, you know, and just the Bob Zemeckis and the amount of effort, and a guy like Bob Hoskins who carried that role and interacted with all these characters. Just an amazing seamless merge between animation and live action.
Yeah, even when
Christopher Lloyd, yes, absolutely.
Oh, he was great. He was great in that as the villain. What was his name in that movie?
Judge
Doom. Judge Doom, I think.
Judge Doom, yeah.
Yeah. He stole every scene he was in.
The Dip.
Oh, yes. I love
Not
it when
the Dip.
No, it was so cool. I'm glad that you brought that up because, like, you know, I'm sure you've seen behind the scenes on that as well. But how they would have animated characters not there. They wouldn't be present, but the animated character ultimately in the final product would have to be holding a real live gun or a bat or something. Yeah. So they would have these props on strings and they would have to move them very specifically for the animation to be able to match up, you know, when they finished it up. And it's just like, wow, like that's gonna be a pain in the ass to put together to be able to do that. Like, because you had to choreograph every little step to make sure that it was gonna work, you know?
Yep. And I mean, Bob Hoskins was no young guy when he shot that, you know?
No, but he was so good. I mean, and Bob Hoskins was a great actor.
The amount of physicality that involved was probably outrageous, you know, to be able to pull that off.
Yeah. That's a really good pick too. Yeah. Shoot. We've gone through quite a bit already.
yeah, we have. I only have a couple more that I had noted because some of them that you mentioned I had written down as well. So,
okay.
How about 1968, 2001: A Space Odyssey?
Yes, of course. Another one that we were talking about debut episode.
Yeah, just for the level of special effects that were involved. And the fact that in that particular film, I mean, Kubrick, you know, just, you know, masterful. And there was very little dialogue in the film, per se. I mean, other than, you know, the astronauts interacting with Hal, you know, really not a heck of a lot of dialogue.
No, it was more of a visual storytelling piece.
Yeah, absolutely. Which was, for its time, I mean, for a science fiction, especially a science fiction film, to not really have dialogue per se, you know, was something that had really never been done before. And had the visuals not been so stunning, you know, it probably would not have carried the film the way that it did.
I agree. And of course, the just to mention the score itself, like the actual. Oh man, epic.
Yep. Yeah. Anybody who's in chat, make sure you drop us a like down at the bottom there. There's little thumbs up and the little hearts. Make sure you pound them.
It'd be much appreciated.
Let us know you're here. Say hello in the chat, just so we know. You know, if there's anybody else we can help out, you know, if you have any other comments or questions about what we're talking about, feel free to jump in. We are an interactive show. We don't just like to talk to each other. You know, not that I have a problem talking to Dave, but
vice versa.
we love to hear from you guys too, though. So there you go. Okay, so What else did I have here? Well, I had Snow White. I had
Mhm.
Snow White on there and we touched on that briefly earlier.
Yes.
From 1937. And to think that that particular film, if you go back and watch the original, it's hard to watch today because you can't buy it. And it's not really, I don't know that it's on Disney Plus or anything. I don't think it is. But if you're lucky enough to own a copy, then to go back and watch that and realize that it was done in the 30s, just amazing. Really, the first major studio production of the Disney studios.
Absolutely agree. Do you have a favorite Tom Hanks movie? Oh, that's tough.
Yeah. I mean, he's made so many good ones. I mean, it's really tough to pick out one.
I think we can't single out just one, but we can definitely bring up like some personal
I could
favorites.
give you a list of some of my personal favorites too.
I'm gonna
go ahead first, Dave.
Oh, okay. I just wanted to say, Green Mile. The Green Mile is just, oh my god. Yeah, top three. Okay, Green Mile, Castaway, and this is going to be controversial. I think I would have to say You Got Mail.
Really? Okay. I'm shocked on that one.
Yeah, him and Meg Ryan, their chemistry was just so good.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, not sorry.
Okay, I'll take that. Green Mile. Yeah.
Yeah, Green Mile.
I'm going to go off the charts a little bit, and I'm going to go with a movie that was written and directed by Tom Hanks.
Okay.
Called That Thing You Do.
Oh, okay.
Which had a great soundtrack, and it was a fun little movie that really didn't have a lot of big stars in it other than Tom Hanks, but you know, there's a couple guys like Ethan Embry was in it. You had Steve Zahn from Saving Silverman. You had him in there. You had there were a couple other guys in there that were there, and you had what's the name? Lily. Tyler. Liv Tyler.
Yeah.
Was in there too. So I mean, if you've never seen it, it's worth checking out. It was and Tom Hanks has a pretty decent sized part in it, and also Rita Wilson, his wife, is in it as well as a cocktail waitress.
got her little cameo in there, right?
She got her little shot in there. So and actually Peter Scolari, who Tom Hanks starred in Bosom Buddies with, had a small part as well in the film, which had been the first film he had done in a while. Tom asked him to be in That Thing You Do. Another one on my list from that's a little off the wall, League of Their Own.
A League of Their Own. Oh, yeah. Okay.
I thought that Tom played a great part in that. And I hate to go back to an answer that's probably would sound like a stock answer, but it's a film that I really thought that was a wonder and amazing, and that was Forrest Gump.
Oh yes, of course. That is oh my god, such a beautifully made film. He's saying we're forgetting one. Well, okay, I was going to mention Captain Phillips, but I don't know if you'll get this, Ron. You might get this, but I was going to joke and say my favorite Tom Hanks movie was Mazes and Monsters.
Okay. Was it that was actually a TV series, wasn't it, at one time?
It might have been a TV series, but I know Tom Hanks did a movie called Splash is good. Big is another great one. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, Mazes and Monsters was like Tom Hanks when he was just starting out, and the movie itself is so cringy. It's so bad. But, you know, you got to start somewhere. Basically, if nobody knows what the movie is, it was like a Christian's interpretation of what Dungeons and Dragons is. And it's all satanic, and they worship the devil and bring spirits to life, and they possess you, and it's like a bad thing. And Tom Hanks's character gets invested into the whole game, and he goes crazy. And she was just like, "Oh my god, this is so bad."
John says also Money Pit.
The Money Pit
with Shelley Long.
I actually don't think I saw that.
Yeah, it was pretty decent. I mean, that wouldn't be one of my favorites, I don't think, but I definitely did see it.
Mike, are you saying Mazes and Monsters? Sounds awesome.
Philadelphia was another great one with Tom Hanks and Denzel Washington. Correct?
Mm-hmm. Who doesn't love Denzel Washington?
Yeah, and Denzel and Tom Hanks in the same movie?
Yeah.
Gotta love it. You know?
You're a trip, Mike.
Yep. Johnny's a big Tom Hanks fan, obviously. He was rattling off quite a few, so he's definitely on my list as one of the contemporaries at this point.
Yeah, you know? I am right there with you on that.
Yeah. So, other than that, the only one that I threw on my list was, 1941 Citizen Kane.
Oh man, yes, with the dynamic camera angles, the movements. Yeah. That was not beforehand. It was so. I'm not knocking the style before that movie came out, but Orson Welles was a pioneer for what we now use in the modern age when it comes to that sort of those techniques and things like that. I 100% agree with you on that.
Yeah, a lot of people call that the greatest film of all time.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And for the strides that it made at that particular time, back in the 40s, it'd be hard to argue. I mean, Orson Welles was he wrote it, he directed it, and he starred in it.
Yep.
And that was not something that was common at the time either. The studios had very tight control over their properties at that time. You had a lot of actors that were contract actors who were committed to one studio and one studio only. So to give a particular actor or actress that kind of creative control was unheard of at the time.
Mm-hmm.
But they did turn it over to Orson, and he definitely took it and ran with it.
Mm-hmm. It's an incredible piece of cinema and a surefire example of where, like, a lot of the things that he did specifically in that film, that we use just like on a whim, like it's like, it wouldn't have existed, I don't think, if it wasn't for him kind of like breaching that and breaking that particular boundary. But yeah, Citizen Kane though, I know a lot of people say it's the greatest film of all time. I don't know if I would I would have to be more specific about that, like greatest film of all time in regards to what story, the technology, the style.
Yeah, it's kind of a broad statement, but it was I believe that after the fact, it received an Oscar for its technological, for its cinematography and the like.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So very interesting there. So that's the list that I had. Did you have any more that you wanted to throw up before I throw you a curveball?
Oh, you're gonna throw me a... Well, we'll see about that. That sounds like a challenge. Them be fighting woods.
Well, I'm kind of going by Mike in the chat here, because now he's doing top 3. He says top 3 Nick Cage movies.
I see that.
So why don't we, for the remainder of our time, since we've kind of exhausted that topic, why don't we just throw some actors out there for the next few minutes, and we'll just go top 3s.
I will. I think that's a great idea, but I did just have one more.
Okay.
One more, because this is another one that shaped the way that films were made. The Lord of the Rings trilogy.
Okay.
All right. That was an exhausting production that spanned years in New Zealand. These actors and actresses had to be a part of this. When they signed that contract, That was that's all they could do. That was it. Their sole focus was that particular production. It was one giant thing, the Lord of the Rings. It was split up into Fellowship, Two Towers, and Return after it was all filmed, of course, to coincide with the books, the release, because nobody's going to go and watch a freaking 6-hour film, especially if you watch the extended versions. But the grand scale of those movies was astounding, and I can't recall up until that point any other trilogy or movies ever going in that direction and doing what they did with that. Even Star Wars was shot separately. Each movie was shot separately. The other actors could be like, okay, we're going to go do this production and this production. Then we'll come back maybe and, do the sequel or whatever. The Lord of the Rings, every person had to dedicate their life to this for years. And it is just so crafted. The way it's crafted is so well done. I had to bring that up.
No, absolutely. The only other production I can think of that did that, where it shot two, multiple films simultaneously, was Back to the Future 2 and 3.
Oh, what was it? Was it just 2 and 3 that were shot together?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
2 and 3 they shot back to back.
Gotcha. So, okay, I see. I didn't know that.
Yeah. Yep. That's the only other one that I recall.
Mm.
But not to that scale, though. Not to the scale of the Lord of the Rings franchise.
Yes. And of course, obviously, with that film, it what was the? Oh, I should know this. I know it's off the top of my head. But the people that were behind the special effects and things like that, unlike the Hobbit trilogy, which I'm still a fan of the Hobbit trilogy, but that was all primarily CGI. The Lord of the Rings was primarily old school props and sets and location filming and whatnot. And just, New Zealand is a beautiful place, and there are so many ways that they used that landscape to further tell the story and really immerse you into the world, Middle Earth, to be more specific, that J.R. Tolkien wrote. So, but yeah, I see Bicus is he's still going on with the whole Nick Cage thing. So I guess, like you said, it's probably great to be able to, we could just hop on there and talk about that.
The company that did the special effects for the Lord of the Rings was a New Zealand-based company called Weta FX.
I knew it was on top of my head. They did an outstanding job. Everybody did. But just the fact that they all had to dedicate their lives to that, and the results, speak for themselves. I wanted to mention that. That definitely, the grand scale of things changed further productions, because now it's commonplace for them to do things like that, but not back then, not in the early 2000s.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah. Oh, Alan's still here.
All right.
Hanging in there. Awesome. Okay. So Mikey's going Face Off. I got to agree.
Yeah. John Woo was the director of that, and he was known for a lot of those stylistic action movies. And I loved Nick Cage and, of course, John Travolta in that as well. I thought those two were so colorful, and they really kind of went over the top, which sold the film to me. It was just fun. It was so much fun to watch. I'll still put it on here and there and just be
Now the funny thing is that Travolta absolutely had Cage down to a T. Cage had difficulty kind of nailing Travolta's mannerisms.
Yeah.
And his personality. But John Travolta jumped in with both feet, and man, he nailed it.
No, I agree. And what do we got here? Gone in 60 Seconds.
Okay.
Con Air. Oh, gosh.
Con Air. That's a good one. Yeah.
That's a guilty
I'm a
pleasure.
big fan of National Treasure.
Oh, National Treasure's great.
I thought those were some great stories that had a lot of historical significance. Stuff that was shot in Philadelphia. Around Independence Hall, in the first film, and the second, I believe. So. Yeah, definitely. National Treasure would be definitely high on my list.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see what else. Another Nick Cage movie.
A really good one, I believe, is called Leaving Las Vegas. He won his first Oscar for that.
Okay, yeah,
And that was like that showed his emotional depth, his emotional range as a serious actor. I thought that was really cool. However, there is also the opposite, and I love this movie so much, but it is Raising Arizona.
I was just gonna say it.
It's so good. It's so
Raising
good.
Arizona. I'll take all the money you got in that register and this bag of hoagies. Holly Hunter. Holly Hunter. We got a child now. Everything's changed.
Holly Hunter is so. I love her. She's great. But those two were awesome. And then of course John Goodman was in it, and I forget the other actor who was alongside him, what his name is, character actor. But those two were also great in that. That was the it was brothers, right? Coen brothers, I think.
Coen brothers, yes.
Yeah, and of course, as we know, that led into other films. Like another one that I absolutely cherish is The Big Lebowski. I love that one.
Oh yeah, Lebowski, definitely.
Yeah. Also a fan
Wicker Man. Yeah, Wicker Man was good. Yeah.
All right. So, are we talking? Because we're still on Nick Cage. Are we talking about his version of the Wicker Man? Or are we talking about the original Wicker Man with Christopher
I think
Lee?
we're talking about the Nick Cage Wicker Man.
Okay.
Not the original, because the original was back quite a bit back from that.
It was 1973, I believe.
70. Yeah, I knew it was in the 70s. Yeah. I think I only saw that once. I never saw Next. But I am a Jessica Biel fan, so.
I saw Next. It's pretty good. Good. As far as the Wicker Man, me personally, I prefer the original. But
yeah.
No.
Okay, who's got another actor? Let's throw another one up there. Let's go, chat.
Come on, anybody. Oh, all right.
Samuel L. Jackson.
Well, I mean, this is going to be, what term did you use? From the stock. But I obviously have to go with his character in Pulp Fiction.
Okay, yeah.
English, mother. Definitely. Do you speak it?
Yeah. Royale with cheese.
That whole scene is so iconic.
Yep. That's a good one.
And of course, John Travolta was in that too. Again, coming full circle.
Yeah.
All these connections, the dots, everything, it aligns.
How about get these motherfucking snakes off this motherfucking plane? Snakes on a plane, man.
Oh, I forget. I saw what was it? An edited TV version.
Training Day. Was Samuel L. Jackson in Training Day?
No, that was Denzel. That was Denzel Washington. Yeah. And then
and Ethan Hawke, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Training
that was
Day,
a great movie, though. Great movie.
Oh, Training Day is in my top 10 favorite movies of all time. It's so good.
Yeah, it's good.
But
who else is Samuel L.? Let's see.
Yeah.
Well, I think his Nick Cage is Nick Fury, which you could spread across multiple films. I think that's a great character for him.
Yeah. No. Definitely. He does the role justice for sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
If I couldn't imagine anybody else playing that part now.
Mm-hmm. Oh, and then speaking of Samuel L. Jackson, he was also in Jurassic Park.
Okay. Yeah.
He played Ray Arnold, and he ends up getting. We see it off screen, or we don't see it. It happens off screen, but he goes down to try to turn on the power before Ellie Sattler, played by Laura Dern, goes down there, and we find his arm, and it's been severed from his body. And then there was a story behind that. Apparently, he was supposed to actually film the death scene, and he was doing some other production, and he couldn't make it, so they ended up doing that. But I think it worked out just great, building up the Velociraptors and the danger. But Die Hard with a Vengeance, Bruce Willis. Oh, that is good.
Yeah,
that is a good one.
Not a lot of people remember that he was in that.
Yeah, yeah. Die Hard with a Vengeance, in some ways, I think I like better than the first Die Hard. That sounds like a sin, me just saying that, but there was some entertaining about those two.
Yeah. SWAT.
I
was
actually
a
never
fan
seen
of the
that.
TV series. The movie, it was okay. I mean,
I never saw the movie.
I was very true to the original TV series, so that was one of the ones. Shaft. Yeah.
Oh yes, yes.
Oh yeah.
He did 2 Shaft movies. One came
Yeah.
out a couple years ago. Then there was the one in the 90s, and that one actually had a young Christian Bale in there.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, before he did American Psycho.
Jungle Fever.
I don't think I saw that.
That's a Spike Lee.
Spike Lee.
movie.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I vaguely remember that. I mean, I think I saw it, but it was a while ago.
1408. Yeah, based on Stephen King. Yeah, that was good.
Yeah.
That was good.
You know, that was my address when I was a kid.
Oh, was it?
Yeah.
Nice little reference there.
Yeah. So, okay. Yeah. Yeah.
There we go.
Little childhood trauma there, but that's okay. Everybody should have a little. It's all good. So, all right. Who else we got? It's we got time for a couple more.
Anybody at all. Me and Ron, where our knowledge of actors and their
John
filmographies
Cusack.
are extensive.
Here we go. John Cusack. All right, Dave.
What is that romance movie where he's got the radio and he lifts it up? What is that called?
Say Anything.
Say Anything. I knew it started with an S. I just couldn't. Yeah, I like that movie.
Uh-huh.
That's the 80s hit right there, you know?
Yeah. Well, Johnny set me up because he knows that there's a movie that John Cusack was in that's one of my all-time favorite movies. And it's one that's a little bit off the beaten path.
Okay.
And that's High Fidelity.
Okay.
With
you really like that one, huh?
John Cusack and Jack Black. Yeah, I actually, who else in there? Catherine Zeta-Jones is in there for a little bit. Yeah, I mean, I enjoyed that movie a lot. I mean, there's a great soundtrack. I love Jack Black's character in that. And I just thought that, you know, it was kind of a John Cusack's character was like a depressed guy that was kind of a downer, but he had enough foils around him to offset it. And he was very, you know, low key, and Jack Black was very high key, and they kind of met in the middle. But Jack Black in that, just amazing. John, what else? John Cusack. Oh, of course. I'll put these both as 1 and 1A. Better Off Dead and One Crazy Summer.
Okay. You have
to throw them in there for sure.
One that is again, I talk about guilty pleasures, movies that aren't actually like really good, but it's just so much fun to watch. But John Cusack in 2012. I love watching that movie. It's just, it's like, you know, everybody knew that the movie was just like one big giant cartoon, but they just went with it. Yep. Woody Harrelson's role in that too, as the conspiracy theorist, cracks me up every time.
Being John Malkovich, that was a brilliant movie.
Yeah, that's a great word, brilliant, for to describe that one in particular. Yeah.
Just the concept itself was just amazing.
Mm-hmm.
There's one other movie when you talk about a novel concept that just kind of blows you away, and surprisingly, it's a horror film. and it was actually a Nightmare on Elm Street film called, what was it called? I just went right out of my head. Crap. The New Nightmare.
Okay.
It was called A New Nightmare. And basically the premise of the film was it was Freddy Krueger who was attacking in their sleep Heather Langenkamp and Robert Englund as the actors.
Yeah.
So the actors from the Freddy movie were being attacked in their dreams by Freddy Krueger.
Mm-hmm.
And Wes Craven just blew me away on that, because that concept was to see Robert Englund getting attacked by Freddy was just crazy.
Yeah. I always wish that they had done, because I know he talked about it, Robert Englund. He talked about that he really was interested if they ever got it together, which we know they didn't, but making a prequel about Freddy Krueger before the actual series, where he's actually like, before he gets disfigured and everything like that.
Yeah.
I'm like, that would have been such a good movie, because he was so passionate about it and he was invested in it, and he would have really dived into that backstory and really created a new element to the series. But instead we got that god awful remake.
Yeah. Any other Cusack movies jump out to you?
No.
Okay. Jim Carrey.
Yes. I was wondering we were gonna get to that. Okay, so Jim Carrey. Shoot. Well, Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. I believe that movie.
Okay.
That was good. That was really good. Showed his emotional range. I think it was called The Number 23.
Yes. Correct.
Okay, I really like that too, because that was Jim Carrey in a very dark role, and Bruce Almighty. Yeah. He did great in that, actually.
Yeah, Man on the Moon for me.
Yeah, definitely, because just of like how much that he put into that, invested into the character, like the real life.
And I was a big Andy Kaufman fan, so definitely Man on the Moon. The Mask.
Oh yes, The Mask. Which by the way is a lot more lighthearted than the comics.
With a 21-year-old Cameron Diaz. She was 21 in that role.
Yeah, very, very young, very young. Yeah, she and you mentioned the other actress, Catherine Zeta-Jones. Definitely in the 90s, they were like those like sex symbols of the period,
Mm-hmm. Worked for me.
Yeah.
All right. And then
Truman Show. Okay. Oh, that is so good.
Yeah. Ace Ventura.
Alrighty then.
Yeah. What else? I know there's another one that I was just thinking of that was right up there. And it wasn't Cable Guy. It was Me, Myself, and Irene.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Which, where he has the two personalities. Like a glove. Dumb and Dumber, of course.
Yes, absolutely.
Definitely. Fly, Petey, fly.
I can't say that's a favorite Jim Carrey movie of mine, but I appreciated him in Batman Forever. I don't know.
Yeah, I thought he had a nice twist on that character.
Yeah. Edward Nygma.
However, was second choice.
What? I'm sorry, what was that?
He was the second choice.
Oh, the first choice. I know. Can I say?
Go ahead.
Robin Williams.
Correct. Robin Williams was the the person when they first started casting was the person they had in mind.
Mm-hmm.
But then he had another commitment, and Carrie was available, so they went with Carrie.
Yeah. Robin Williams would have done great in that setting. Joel Schumacher directed Batman Forever and Batman and Robin. However, in an alternate reality, wouldn't it have been amazing if Robin Williams played the Riddler and a Tim Burton directed Batman?
Oh wow, yeah, that would have been something.
Yeah.
John says he doesn't see Robin Williams as Riddler.
I mean, I have to disagree with that. If you're trying to have a more like grounded Riddler, like they did in the recent The Batman with Robert Pattinson, Robin Williams would have easily done great, just like he did in such roles as what was the one
1 Hour Photo,
1 Hour Photo, Insomnia,
with Al Pacino and Hilary Swank.
Yeah.
That's to see him in that kind of serious, you don't know if he's crazy or not kind of roles.
Mm-hmm.
I think that would have perfectly fit into the personality of Edward Nygma.
Yes.
And he can also pull off the comedic part as well. But he also would have been thoroughly hated by Tommy Lee Jones. Because Tommy Lee Jones absolutely despises Jim Carrey.
Yeah.
Because of the production of Batman and Robin, where Tommy Lee Jones is a very articulate, by the book actor. And, Jim Carrey did so much improv and goofing around that it pissed off Tommy Lee Jones so bad that they weren't even speaking for half of the production.
Yeah. And I believe it was Tommy Lee Jones. Like when Jim Carrey went to introduce himself, Tommy Lee Jones told him straight up, "I don't like you."
I don't like you. Yep.
You wouldn't be able to tell though. Like that's how professional they were. They did handle the situation as they should. But yeah, no, you brought up an awesome trivia fact. Absolutely true.
Yep. So yeah, okay. What else we got? Let's do like one or two more.
Tommy Lee Jones. If we're gonna go with Tommy Lee Jones, and you're saying just like one favorite movie, I might have to say No Country for Old Men.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Very good.
That's definitely a good one. What was the one where he was the IRA bomber?
Oh, Blown Away with Jeff Bridges.
Yes.
That is so good. Yeah. He nailed that role.
Look what John just put up.
Oh, wow.
Wow, John. We both thought of it at the same time. Awesome.
Great.
Yeah, movie. I like that one a lot. I thought he was good in The Fugitive too.
Oh,
with, Harrison Ford.
He played that character in two movies. It was The Fugitive, and then what was the standalone one where they focused on him?
Yeah, what was it called?
Oh,
I can't remember.
Yeah, it's like on the tip of my tongue. Okay.
You continue on. I'll find it.
Oh, he found it. U.S. Marshals.
Oh yeah, U.S. Marshals. Yeah,
that's what it was. Yeah. It's good to know that those watching also have sizable knowledge in this area too.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Johnny has great. Johnny was my co-host before with. I was his co-host with Friday Night Movie Night when I first joined the channel.
Mm-hmm. I remember those days.
So John definitely has a lot of knowledge.
Yeah, 400 movie collection. I think you and I could compete.
Yeah.
What's really cool, you can't really see it, but back there where my thumb is pointing is a DVD display and it's got like the old DVD logo on it. Like you would see something like in a Blockbuster or whatever. I actually got it from a Rite Aid that I used to work security in, and they were just going to trash that. And the assistant manager at the time, Amanda, she was like, "I know you're into movies. You want to just sneak it in the back, put it in your car, and take it home?" I was like, "Hell yes!" So I got it back there now, and I have my DVDs all lined up there. It literally, awesome. It looks like it came straight from like a Blockbuster. It's so cool.
Yeah. Yeah. Johnny also has a pretty good collection too. Yeah, definitely.
I'm very much interested to check that out. 100%.
All right. So what other Tommy Lee Jones movie do we? I mean, as I like the Men in Black movies.
Yeah, he was great.
I thought that he was really good in those too.
Yeah, no, K, that character K was
Agent
so
K, yeah,
like the veteran, and then he like passed the torch to Will Smith's character, because in the beginning of the first one, it's him under the tutelage of his like teacher or his boss or whatever, and then it goes like that. It's really cool. And speaking of Men in Black, just real quick, I thought that in the third one, Josh Brolin did a great job playing a young Tommy Lee Jones.
Oh yeah, absolutely. He played a great. He had him down to a. The Client. Yeah, that's another good one.
Yeah, it is The Client. Yeah.
I mean, he's done so many movies. I mean, you could, if you really roll back, and think about some of his earlier work. Amazing. Yeah.
Even in that I believe I'm stating this correctly, that disaster movie, Volcano.
Volcano, yeah.
He was good in that too.
Yep.
Yes, Major Chip Hazard. Yes, Small Soldiers. Yes.
Yeah, there you go.
I love that movie.
That was a great movie.
Yes, it was, and the last film of the dearly missed Phil Hartman.
Yes. Yeah. Some week we'll do a show on Saturday Night Live movies that are off the tree.
That
would be Night Live.
That would be amazing.
I think that we'll make that next week.
Okay. So it's Saturday Night Live movies, right? Like
anybody off the tree of Saturday Night Live and their movies. So it could go to Adam Sandler, it could go to Chevy Chase, it could go to Belushi, anywhere off the Saturday Night Live tree.
That sounds awesome. Let's do it.
There you go. We got next week's topic already, gang. How about that? I think that's a great idea. I love that.
Yes, yeah, Chris Farley. Yeah, we're gonna. I'm saving. I'm saving this.
We're gonna save him for next week. Chris Farley. So
that's it, Ron. That's our topic. It's done.
Okay, there you go. How about that? So, hang on one second. All right. Well, I mean, if you don't have anything else, I want to, we could start filling in everybody on what's going on for the rest of the week and everything, if that's okay with you.
No, that sounds great to me, man.
Okay. So, we want to thank you guys for tuning in tonight. We do appreciate you hanging in with this. We had a pretty steady viewership through the night. We spiked earlier in the night, and we do appreciate everybody that came in and said hi, even those of you who didn't. We or might be viewing us on the replay, which is okay too. Just remember, you can go back and view any of our shows from the channel all week by just going back onto the Facebook page or on YouTube and just take a look. So make sure you're like and follow and share. Make sure you're sharing the page. Love you too, Mike. Make sure you're sharing with your friends. Make sure that you share the replay of the show. Like I said, likes and follows are appreciated, especially on Facebook. We're about to eclipse another milestone, so we appreciate anybody who can hop on and just give us a follow.
Yes.
So the rest of the week here on the Basement Show, tomorrow night is Sports Roundup, which is our Tuesday night show. With normally would be with myself and Mr. Nast. Unfortunately, I will not be on tomorrow night. It is my wedding anniversary, so I will be excused for the evening. But Johnny may or may not have somebody with him tomorrow night, so he says he's got something special planned. So there you go. Johnny's got something planned for you guys for tomorrow night for Sports Roundup. So remember last week we had a special guest, Mr. E-Rock, who is a big Eagles influencer from YouTube and Instagram, and he spent some time with us last week, which was awesome. So you never know who's going to show up, honestly, on Sports Roundup on Tuesdays. And then Wednesday night, everybody gets the night off here on the Basement Show. Mr. John is not a slave driver. He does unchain us from our desk for one day, which is always a good thing. So Wednesday night is free. But you never know. A pop-up can always happen at any time. Actually, yeah, there could be something going on Wednesday this week too. So just you never know what can happen. Thursday is Ladies' Night with Miss Shannon and Mama D and Brit, our three hosts of Ladies' Night, where they talk about all kinds of different topics, everything from shopping deals to dating advice to, stories, etc. It's just kind of an open forum for the ladies, but not exclusively for the ladies. So guys, you can always jump in. You may get a little abused, but hey, that's what ladies do. So you just never know. And then, of course, Friday night, we all pull up to the altar of the Rev Grimm show. We'll be on Friday night with our good friend, the Rev. And he will be talking about anything and everything. It is a mature audience show. So some of our other platforms, it will be on Facebook. I don't know if it's back on YouTube yet or not, but it'll be on Twitch and then Twitch is usually the format that you can kind of be a little more free with your words. You won't have to worry about getting flagged by the Facebook police if you participate in what often turns into an unchained, unrestricted conversation of this, that, and everything. So I really can't put it into words. You really just have to tune in to understand the Rev Grimm show and what it represents. But it's always an interesting time. I can tell you that. And then Saturday night, we have Drago and Tink's Neverland, which is our gaming show, which will be all these are starting at 9:00, by the way. This week, I know we had some early starts last week, but we're 9:00 starts, and Drago and Tink hosted by Heartless and Gingy. Gingy had popped in here earlier and said hi. So those guys will be doing some gaming, talking games, just a lot of things that are game related, and then just anything else that comes up during the course of the night. So always entertaining view. I popped in there a couple times and enjoyed the interaction and watching some of the gaming that they get into there on a Saturday night on Drago and Tink's Neverland, in honor of a couple of souls that are still watching over us as we speak. So we honor them each week by having that show on here on the Basement Show. So that pretty much covers the lineup for the week. Dave, you have any words before we close it out?
Only that this has been amazing. And just again, like I know we had the 1 hour the last time, but now to do the full 2 hour, feature length production here, the stream, it not only gives me complete confidence in our like repertoire, like our working relationship here, but this is going to be fun because now I'm seeing the interactions of these people joining the chat and giving various suggestions and stuff like that. And we can, that aids us in being able to talk even further about whatever. And it's more material to be able to dive into when it comes to this show, Real Talk. And I've had so much fun tonight. And I know this is going to be, from here on out, this is going to be what transpires. And I'm all for it. I'm all for it.
Yeah. No,
and
it was a great time, and you did. You're a great co-host. I appreciate you and everything that you bring to the table. Your knowledge is vast, and your experiences in the film industry also just give that extra added element to the show that I hope really is appealing to our audience, which I think it is. So I'm looking forward to many very animated conversations about all these great films and film topics that we're going to be discussing over the course of the season. So
yes, and I appreciate those words. Like I've mentioned it before. You and we get together, whether it be in a room or through webcam. It just goes on and on. It's just natural. It's not even. I don't even have to try it. I'm just having fun. I'm just going with the flow. It's great. It's just like it used to be when we worked at Dollar General. And yep. I not only appreciate your support and words and all of you of the Basement Show giving your support to me, and I appreciate all that, but also the audience itself too. It's through your interactions that allow us to be able to do this and be able to grow. And I am sincerely grateful for that as well. Just the whole scope of this is so vast and so wonderful. And I'm quite excited for what the future holds.
Absolutely. So on that note, we once again, like, follow, and share. Make sure you get on that Facebook and slam that follow button, so we can continue to do great things here on the Basement Show. And remember, we can't do it without you. So make sure we see you next week and throughout the week here on the Basement Show with all of our various, because there is something for everybody. And with that, peace. Have a good night.
Peace.